This is a Hot Pie Original.
I know it's a weird question, but it's a real issue. If you or your kid gets hit by a foul ball, whose fault is it? At a Major League Baseball game, whose fault is it? Everything I always thought was it's my fault. I mean, that's the reason why for a long, long time, myself included, although when I would go to baseball games with my grandfather, we would sit so far away. Unless somebody hit a 600-foot home run, I was never going to get a ball. But I had that glove every time. One day I'm going to get one. Nobody ever. Maybe it's because it was the Rangers that never hit home runs. I mean, people take a baseball glove to the game so they can get a foul ball. You know that ball could be coming your way. It has always been your fault. It is buyer beware. I believe it even says it on the ticket when you go to a Major League game. So, do we want to debate whether or not it's your fault? I'm not saying it's not bad luck. I'm not saying if you bend down to pick up a beer or get some popcorn, you get hit in the face, you didn't see it coming. But it's on you, isn't it? When a 2-year-old gets hit in the head with a foul ball, thankfully she's alive, but it was pretty ugly for a while. So this has really played itself out. It's been playing itself out over time. It doesn't feel like it's a very cool and righteous position to take to say it's your fault, mom, dad, granddad, whoever, that your 2-year-old got hit in the head with a ball, but I think it's kind of your fault. So what do you do? The Astros, I mean, it's a tragedy, and the Houston Astros, I guess, have had one way out. I guess. I mean, I could see arguments when you close the doors, but I don't think it was their fault. I don't know. I don't care that it's the Astros or anybody else for that matter. That's what ballparks have always been. They don't put screens there. They do now. They don't put screens there now, or didn't, for that very reason, that the ball could leave the park. But when it does, and you get hit, or you catch it and don't get hit, is it their fault? I'm guessing the lawyer said, hey, we're not at fault here. I agree with you. But we don't want the pictures and the story of a 2-year-old girl battling a fractured skull flying around out there. So pay them. Because they paid. Now imagine, could anyone listening right now have said, this is terrible. Here are tickets for life. I don't know. Here's a snow cone and some cotton candy. I don't know how you settle this, but we're not at fault and we don't want to admit fault. That's just the way it goes. Could they have taken that position? Oof, they didn't.
A young girl who was hit by a foul ball at an Astros game is now suing the team. The child was 2 years old at the time and was hit in the head by a ball in May of 2019. The lawsuit accuses the Astros of negligence and is seeking unspecified damages. The family's attorney says the girl suffered a skull fracture in the back of her head, brain injuries, and seizures. We have reached out to the Astros for a comment. Incidents like this injury led to the Astros adding safety netting to protect fans.
Gina, we have just learned that 2 MLB teams, the Chicago White Sox and the Washington Nationals, are the first organizations to announce they will be extending their safety netting from foul post to foul post to protect those fans in the front rows from those foul ball line drives. Here inside Minute Maid Park just last month, a 2-year-old girl was hit by one of those line drives. Her attorney tells us she likely had less than 2 seconds to react. It was nearly a month ago this line drive foul ball from a Chicago Cubs player flying at an estimated 100 miles an hour, hitting a 2-year-old little girl. Her grandfather jumping to embrace her. She was taken away crying and conscious, but her family attorney tells us she is not doing well.
A skull fracture in the back of her head, subdural bleeding, brain contusions, and brain edema, which is swelling. She's had seizures.
The toddler and her family were sitting in Section 111 inside Minute Maid Park, directly next to Section 112, where the protective netting for foul balls ends. The Astros organization extended that netting just 2 years ago, but now the debate continues. Should it extend further from foul post to foul post?
When you sit on the foul line, you definitely got to pay attention and be aware. But, I mean, just for extra precaution, it'd be great to have a net from foul post to foul post. It'd be awesome.
And we go down and we watch batting practice and trying to catch some of the foul balls and where we sit. So I feel if that net was extended, that might be take away from some of the fun as a little kid.
Some parents telling us they strategically buy their seats concerned for foul ball safety.
We take in consideration where we sit because we do bring the child and friends. So we need to make sure that if they're not paying attention, that he is.
There is no lawsuit filed against the Astros for this injury, but the child's attorney hopes this will bring safety changes to the ballpark.
Well, actually, there is a lawsuit. Man, it sucks. It's terrible. Who wants to say it? The team can't do it. The team can't say it. It's so awkward and uncomfortable. I mean, it would be terrible if it would have been the grandfather that got hit in the skull. Okay? But it was a 2-year-old. Who wants to say it? Who wants to say it? Granddad, why are you sitting there? You knew, right? I mean, if you're going to take a 2-year-old there, you know the risk. You can't pretend you don't know the risk. The picture of the line drive, it was a bullet. But you're sitting there. You knowingly were sitting there. I think they've paid. I think they will pay. I don't know. It's easy to sit on the outside and say, "Oh, come on, you can't do that." Well, we're not the ones running the business with pictures of a girl with a crushed skull. She's okay now, but with a lawyer running around making a story out of it until we pay. So it's easy to sit over here and say, "Man, that's not your fault." I mean, imagine, and I don't know how many of you would do this. Imagine if you were the club and you said, one, it's tragic. We've offered what we can to make it right. But it's not our fault that she was sitting there. It's not our fault that she wasn't protected. I mean, you can make an argument that if you're going to sit there, it is the responsibility of the adult with the child. First of all, I don't know if it's a very good idea that a 2-year-old be sitting right there. But she was. And here we talk about personal responsibility. Does anyone want to say the personal responsibility is not the 2-year-olds? It's not the clubs. It may have been the people sitting there who strategically put their 2-year-old there. I don't know the circumstance. I don't know if Granddad turned away. I don't know. I mean, Granddad, it's a 100-mile-per-hour foul ball. In fairness, I don't know if Granddad could react. But it begs to ask the question, if you can't protect your Granddad, what are you doing there? What's she doing sitting there? The team that I know may have said it privately. They've never said that publicly, and I think they have tried. I think they've paid. And I'm not sure you had any option but to pay. But you might be begging for more. I'm not saying somebody wants their kid to get hit. You don't want to get hit in the face. But you've set yourself up for the very next time, and it's going to happen again. A foul ball is coming again. You know it. What's to stop the next person from saying, look what happened to me? You paid her, you got to pay me. The precedent is now set. And it's set for every team everywhere. It's not their fault. I mean, this is not, foul balls are not a new thing. It's not a new thing at all. It's been going on for a long time. And you can make a very compelling argument. As the guy said, we go there just to try to catch the ball. I think they could have said, it's not our fault. And then that lawyer would have taken the picture of that little girl, and it would have been splashed and has been splashed everywhere you can think of. He has not missed a chance to do an interview to talk about her brain swelling and her seizures. So sooner or later, you close the door and say, I'm sorry. It's a bad look. We don't think we're at fault. We know this is going to screw over the industry itself. I think we have to pay. John McClellan is the co-founder and creator of ATX Hot Sauce, now in all 50 states and several retail outlets as well. So what we're going to do today is we're going to let this social media rock star chef walk us through 4 different sauces, and then I'll taste, and we'll tell everyone why they should buy. You can give the science behind these, and then I'll make the simple recommendation. Go to atxhotsauce.com. All right,
I don't think anybody's heard the website.
Yeah, I know.
About you, Jeff,
I've never heard
it
that.
is atxhotsauce.com.
I'll say
I got that one right.
345 times, atxhotsauce.com. So let's do it.
I brought 4 flavors here, and we're going to test your palate today.
Okay.
And I only brought 4 because I didn't think you could handle 5 or 6.
Yes,
probably a smart move. Yeah. And so the first one we're going to try here, it's called Beet Heat. And just like the name implies, it has beets in it. It's made with red Fresno peppers. Red Fresnos are red peppers that are they're hotter than a jalapeno and a little bit less than a serrano. So not super hot here, just a lot of really good flavor. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to move up the chain.
Okay. I've had the Beet Heat, but okay.
Yeah, we're going to try it though.
It goes well with a cab. All right, Jeff's savoring Beet
I'll
Heat.
even do it with you, so that should be all right. Now remember, it is hot sauce.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It's hot sauce. Trust me, man.
Wait,
It's hot sauce.
is that one hot to you?
No. A little.
Yeah. The great thing with the fermentation process is you get a bunch of the flavor right up front.
Yeah.
And then the heat comes, but then it dissipates pretty quickly, especially with the red Fresnos. You know, this is not a very spicy one, but it is a very tasty one. Goes on great on sandwiches.
Beet Heat.
Beet Heat. B-E-E-T. Heat.
All right. Go to atxhotsauce.com.
That's right.
Really bad, awful, terrible, borderline tragic news for what's left of the Big 12. Your politicians, remember they had that meeting, your political heroes had that meeting, they're going to do something, blah, blah, and the big devil that is the University of Texas left you, your sugar daddy left you, they're going to do something about it. Well, you are getting closer and closer to not mattering at all. Look out what's left of the Big 12. They're waving their arms, can't blame them, saying, please take us, somebody take us. And now these leagues are moving on without them. These leagues are merging without them. They're cutting deals without them. And life, as you know, at Baylor, Texas Tech, TCU is changing in a big way. It's not working out very well. News just keeps getting worse. Here's why I say it. I have no idea how this is going to work. Many of us have predicted for some time that the world of professional college football, big football factories are going to end up in their own alliance. The haves, the top 40 or 50, maybe not even that many by the time this is done, are going to leave the have-nots. And what's going to happen to the have-nots is pretty obvious. Because as much as college sports tries to lie and say it's not like professional sports, it's trying to maneuver itself just like the NFL. And that is position yourself for the most marketable places that you can have so the networks pay more in rights fees. You're a content provider, you need to sell to media. Left out of that is someone like Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU. You are screwed. The money you used to make is not money you're going to see again. You're Sears, your talk radio. It's all coming apart. The ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12 are currently positioning themselves as a force against the SEC. The 3 conferences are, quote, engaging in high-level discussions about creating a formal alliance. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense geographically, but they're trying to form something that gives them negotiating power to have markets that allows them to go to media companies and say, here's what all we have. Pay us $2 billion or $5 billion or whatever the number is. Well, why is that bad news for the Big 12? Well, because they don't want them. Exactly what I said for weeks. Baylor, who's now got baggage on top of the issue of being in Waco, doesn't carry any markets. It doesn't have any market power. So it doesn't offer anything to these giant conferences. So, well, reportedly, they're not even in discussions. They can't find anybody right now, reportedly, that wants to include them. And if you're not included in this next round of maneuvering, this next round of money making, you are the next division down. Some local network will show your games, but it's for a fourth of the price you used to get. That's what's coming. Man, Big Brother left you and you got screwed in the process. So what's reported now is Texas and Oklahoma accepted invitations to join the SEC last month, a move that's set to take place in 2025. I don't believe it takes as long as 2025. I think they write a check and say goodbye. And frankly, I think the Big 12 needs the check. They might even say, please pay us. So the league that wasn't really 12 is going to be down to 8 teams. And reportedly, this alliance between the Atlantic Coast Conference, the Big 10, and the Pac-12, from what's reported now is, and it makes perfect sense, the Big 12 will not be invited to join. And you can see exactly why. Come on, let us in. Why? What do you have? Well, we got Lubbock, we got Waco, and we got Dallas-Fort Worth, but they all watch Texas anyway. But we got something. Isn't that worth something? And the answer back, I think, is right now, no. And I don't know if any political power can get them in. I don't think these other states and these other conferences are really going to care to hear from some state representative in Texas saying, yeah, you better let my Baylor in. They're going to say, no. Who needs Waco? You got nothing for us, man. I thought they might be able, someone like Texas Tech, again, I don't know what they offer. They don't offer anything, marketing-wise. You're screwed. I mean, you're just screwed. There's nothing you can do to fix this. You can't even get any legal help to fix this that I can tell. And unless they just throw you a bone, unless they take you just to even out some numbers somewhere, if you're not included in this next shakeout in professional college football, you are forever relegated to next 2 levels down. You have the market power of Texas State. You're going to have a budget that reflects that. That's just the way it is. And that's probably the way it needed to be. In fact, I would suggest that if you went to any one of these schools, you would say, stop wasting money on football. I think the judgment day is coming. I don't know when it comes. It should have happened already. But judgment day is coming for a lot of these schools, in particular private schools, when somebody has the guts to say, we don't need to be playing football anymore. It costs too much. We don't need to lose the money. We don't need to try to be in this business anymore. Let's use the money elsewhere. I think those conversations, I know at Baylor, they've got a new stadium, and so that's kind of a big deal, and it's kind of a problem. But this should create the conversation that says, hi, I'm president of so-and-so private school, and you know what we don't need to be doing anymore, alumni? We don't need to be losing $5 million a year or 10 or whatever the number is going to be playing football. It's not worth it. We're never going to make it back. We're never going to be in that next frontier of big schools. Texas isn't going to send us money anymore. We got to make some tough calls, and that is football is just a waste of money. That conversation should happen. It probably should happen now. They won't, because I think they're going to try to find a place to play. But once you realize that money is going to be cut dramatically, expenses are going to still stay high. It's a bad idea to keep playing in a lot of places. Doesn't mean you're not good at it. I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing wins and losses. I'm arguing the future is not good. The future says many of you should close the door on playing football. You should close the door. You should close the door on losing the money.
From the Hot Pie Media Studios in Austin, Texas, it's the Jeff Ward Show. Listen at jeffwardshow.com.